are trying to run a scam on us. Our enemy is not Central America, it's not South America, it's not the continent of Africa. Our enemy is white supremacy.
30,000 youth employed this summer, crowned down 30%, but our audience today wants to go deeper. What does success actually look like to you?
The number one community that hired the most amount of young people just happened to be the Austin community. It was almost 1,700 young people had summer jobs just out of the Austin neighborhood. And we saw some of the greatest declines in violence.
Young people are also dealing with housing sustainability, underfunded schools, limited mental health resources. How do you prioritize everything when it feels so urgent?
When our country prepares for war, and it prepares its doctors for war, they send those doctors in black neighborhoods, black hospitals, because of the type of trauma that these doctors are going to experience in war-torn countries. That trauma is akin to what we experience every single day.
A lot of times we talk about statistics and people don't actually get to see it in person. But we have a lot of our youth and our team that are employed through My Shot, My Future, and One Summer Chicago. Can you stand up for me to let them know what this is? So these are youth that have been employed in South Shore, greater across the community, where they plan events, they go out into the community, they do service. And so one of the things that I wanted to say is thank you, right, for that particular program, because it is needed. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the Unity Movement with Golden Child.
What resources do you intend to provide to parents or guardians that might help the young people in our communities to grab onto this tenable hope that you're promoting?
We have to give these families access to education and training so that they can be a part of the growing, changing economy. We have roughly 127,000 millionaires, 25 billionaires in this city. We have literally spent 20 times the amount on black folks, so much so that I'm under investigation by the Department of Justice because apparently I'm investing too much in black people. Take that collective power off of social media and take it to the streets of this city.
We are Social Storm. We are a media platform dedicated to giving entrepreneurs a platform to grow and learn, teaching financial literacy, personal growth, development, how we can collaborate as a community.
There's a lot of people that's not being seen, heard, and understood. And I feel like if we did that, especially for people who want to have these opportunities, we can thrive.
Look! This is the Eye of the Trenches!
We're a Rainbow Bridge Coalition here, Lakeside Chat with Mayor Brandon Johnson, talking about how the youth can be able to come and grow, learn from the mayor, how we can move ways towards growth, towards the future.
Absolutely. So what brand do y'all represent?
We are Social Storm. We are a media platform dedicated to giving entrepreneurs a platform to grow and learn, teaching financial literacy, personal growth, development, how we can collaborate as a community, economic development, and make this community a better place.
Absolutely. So why is it important to do it in this setting, though?
It's important. This is such a historic organization, and it's important to have someone like Mayor Brandon Johnson be able to have direct access to share this information to us.
Absolutely. So why is it important to do this in this setting?
Honestly, it's important to do this because it's a lot of youth, a lot of people that need this type of information, that need this impact within the community for them to grow and thrive. Because it's a lot of people that's not being seen, heard, and understood. And I feel like if we did that, especially for people who want to have these opportunities, we can thrive.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, brother. So what do you hope to get out of this today, like for yourself? Because y'all speak on the youth, but what's something you want for yourself?
All right. Again, I'm always leading with these four quadrants of my life. Service, impact, leadership, and legacy. And that's what I want, to continuously serve people through my knowledge and my information to impact their lives. And if you impact somebody's life, you can become a leader. And you can't lead without legacy. So that's what I want to have coming from this event, to be able to impact myself in those four areas of my life.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, brother. What about you?
What's the question?
I said, so what do you want to get out of this for yourself?
I want to be able to continue to show other young people how we can be able to continue to grow. For me, starting off a couple years ago, from being where I was coming out of high school, showing that I can be able to put myself in a trajectory where I can be able to work with different corporations, organizations, and push the narrative towards positivity within media, within culture, within business, so we can all become successful together, not just me, but not just me, but the whole entire community.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brothers.
Brother Cory Phillips is a junior marketing major at North Carolina Central College, the founder of Storm, Social Storm LLC. He's empowered over 1,000 youth in Chicago through financial literacy and entrepreneurial education. And he spent the summer working at Related Midwest. Congratulations, Cory. Ian Alphonse is a co-founder of Social Storm, dedicated to creating innovative solutions to improve community health and well-being. Welcome, Ian. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Mark Haywood, my neighbor, is connected to a college young minority urban. Give him a round of applause. Sister Daisha Payton, give her a round of applause. She's done. Dedicated to behavioral education and passionate youth leader. She is one of our teachers. And of course, we have none other than a man we're so proud of, who continues to grow in his job and make us proud and more proud every day. We now are amongst the leading cities in the country in reducing violence. We're one of the leading cities in the country for tourism, economic growth and prosperity, and that has come under the leadership of our mayor, the Honorable Mayor Brandon Johnson. One second. As part of this program, we have two speakers here to come up for just 90 seconds apiece. And they're part of our sponsors, Mr. Larry Roberts Jr., the founder of
Larry's Barber College. I just wanted to share a little bit with you. I started cutting hair when I was 13 years old. Now I have 10 barber schools. First person to ever put a barber college inside of Cook County Jail. I've been there for 15 years now. I have 3 locations in the JJ with the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice, and I'm here to tell you that I have a trade school. I have an automotive, HVAC, appliance repair school. I have shops inside of Walmart, so I can put you to work when you get done with school. And we at Larry's Barber College can not only change your life, but we can transform your life. We have financial aid available for those who qualify. And I went to barber school when I was 17 years old. All right, 17 years old I went to barber school. I have my master instructor license in over 22 states. We teach life coach, mentorship, mental health, substance abuse, and we do much more because I understand that we have to be careful we don't allow our gift to take you someplace that your character cannot handle, right? And you have to go through in order to get to, but it's how you deal with what you go through that determines how you come out. We have a table in the resource room, and I hope that you stop by the resource room. Thank you, Mayor, for giving me this opportunity, and you guys have a blessed evening.
Larry, we've never met before. I've heard of you.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank the mayor and the city of Chicago for allowing for me to share this opportunity. My name is Lafayette McGarry, and I'm currently on the corporate side. I work in engagement for a financial service company named Thrivent. We have 2 advisors here, both Byron and Melissa, if you guys want to raise your hands. They're fully licensed that can come in and they'll help you take care of where you need to be on your financial journey. A lot of what Thrivent does and what makes us unique is part of our generosity. We're not only caring about the individual, but we care about building communities. So again, if you have any questions, or feel free to just reach out to us and just come and see us. We'll be upstairs in the vendor area. And again, we're part of Thrivent, which is a financial service company. We have about $200 billion in assets. And our job is to be here and help everyone hands-on to build their financial future, whatever that looks like. And last but not least, if you're part of any churches, nonprofit organizations, or community organizations, we offer complimentary workshops for all of you that we would love to come and support. We'll buy beverages, refreshments, whatever the case may be, and do anything from estate and retirement planning all the way up to Social Security to help some of those members, and also to help some younger families with some college planning and just some basic life insurance and investments. Thank you.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you. Lafayette has $200 million under management. We are proud that Operation Push, Rainbow Push Coalition, is a safe space. But with $200 million sitting right next to me, I might have to call some people up and hold you here for a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you to this incredible organization, this institution Push, and to all of you who are gathered here this evening. I'm so grateful that you all are committed to building the safest, most affordable big city in America. And that's going to really require all of us to put our arms around our young people in particular. And I'm looking forward to tonight's conversation. I'm grateful that we are joined by the former Congressman, Congressman Bobby Rush. Thank you for your leadership and being here. And then just walking in the alderman of the 4th Ward, Lamont Robinson. Thank you, sir, for being here. So let me just close with this, and we can just dig into this work. You know, one of the things that, I have said from the very beginning is that in order for us to build an economy that works for everyone, we have to speak to those who have been most impacted by systemic racism and disinvestment. And over the course of decades in this city, the west and south sides of Chicago have been starved out from the economic prowess of this city. And especially our young people. Schools have been closed. Housing has been shut down. There has not been enough opportunities for employment. But I'm grateful today that I received from my youth engagement division of the mayor's office that in our work to hire 29,000 young people for summer jobs, I just received word that we surpassed that amount and 30,134 children and young people, young adults in this city have summer jobs. That's a 47% increase since taking office. And so the work that we're doing to invest in young people for employment opportunities, expanding mental and behavioral health care services, and building more affordable homes, that's why you're seeing the incredible decline in violence in this city. 32% reduction in homicides. We are leading the nation when it comes to reduction of violent crime in this country. Homicides, shooting victims all down because of that collective work. So thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your belief in our young people. And then finally, when I look around this room and see all of these young people that are gathered here, if we had 300 young people gathered downtown, there would not be a news outlet that wouldn't be covering that. Okay, I hope y'all came to put in some work tonight. If these young black children were downtown in this mass, every single news outlet would be there to cover it. But the fact that we have this many young people in a building calling for investments and we can hardly find mass media to show up, just make sure it's very clear. They only want to see us in a negative light. They only want to cover the trauma and the harm that is being manifested by the disinvestment that they caused. And so I hope that you all came to show up tonight, not to just hear ourselves talk, but let's remind ourselves of the political power that we have to build a just and equitable society for everyone. Thank you all. God bless you. Let's get into it.
I'll be asking the first question. My name is Cory Phillips. My first question to you is, Mayor Johnson, you're halfway through your term and you show impressive numbers. 30,000 youth employed this summer, crowned down 30%, but our audience today wants to go deeper. What does success actually look like to you when you visit Austin, your home neighborhood, today versus 2 years ago?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And thank you for starting off the question that gives us an opportunity to talk about the blessed side, the west side. Where you at, west side? Y'all here tonight? Yeah. Where you at, south side? Y'all in the room today? It's about as many as y'all as Harold Chickens, right? That's a great question. Here's what success looks like, and you're absolutely right. Those numbers are an indication that our investments are working. In fact, last summer, the number one community that hired the most amount of young people just happened to be the Austin community. It was almost 1,700 young people had summer jobs just out of the Austin neighborhood. And we saw some of the greatest declines in violence in the 15th police district. I believe there's a direct correlation between those critical investments, mental health support services, and youth employment that's driving down violence in Chicago. And so success for me is every single child, regardless of your zip code, whether you're in Austin, Inglewood, Hyde Park, no matter where you are, Chatham, Roseland, that you deserve a high-quality, well-funded neighborhood school. We patting ourselves on the back until there's a quality opportunity for every single child. The second thing is this. When you look at those who have been most harmed by violence, it's young black boys and young black men between the ages of 10 and 24, either victims or those who have been justice involved and caught up in the perpetuation, if you will, of violence. Until we solve the crisis of unemployment with young black men in particular, we have not fulfilled the complete hopes and dreams of our ancestors. And I'm thinking about Cory and Ian, both of you, North Central College. My wife graduated from North Central College, and it's a remarkable testament to you all's commitment. And so creating a pathway to purpose and jobs, to college and careers, because the number one subgroup of registrants in our community colleges are young black men. Don't tell me that our young black men are not interested in building a better life for themselves because they're signing up and registering for community colleges. And so until we get full employment, full access to publicly funded schools, opportunities for growth and violent crime going down, none of us should pat ourselves on the back, but we are clearly headed in the right direction. Success looks like doubling down on those efforts and making sure that every single individual, regardless of what zip code you live in, you can have a fulfilling, prosperous life in this beloved city. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Today I want to ask you, as you talk about addressing violence through opportunity, which makes very much sense, young people are also dealing with housing sustainability, underfunded schools, limited mental health resources. How do you prioritize everything when it feels so urgent, and what comes first?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our issues that we are confronting in our communities, they're vast. It's a lot of them. Employment, education, mental and behavioral health care services. Something that's especially important to me is the mental health of our young people. We have to, as a city, invest more in behavioral and mental health services. There's an interesting data point that I think is important to just set the narrative appropriately. When our country prepares for war, and it prepares its doctors for war, they send those doctors in black neighborhoods, black hospitals, because of the type of trauma that these doctors are going to experience in war-torn countries. That trauma is akin to what we experience every single day in our neighborhoods. Sections of our city have been described as a developing nation because violence and poverty per capita reflects that. And so there's so many young people in particular that are living in hurt and untreated trauma that provocates many of the violent interactions that we're seeing. This is not to suggest that gang activity doesn't exist in Chicago, but a lot of the violence can be attributed to domestic violence, interpersonal conflict. There was a shooting just recently where every single victim was under the age of 16. They got into an argument, and then someone pulled out a gun. And so that trauma is being carried over, and we're not addressing it in the way in which we should. And so that's why I'm proud of a couple of things. One, that within the Chicago Teachers Union contract, we are expanding behavior and support services within our public schools. Social workers, counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, restorative justice practices to give young people the empowering tools that are needed to be able to deal with trauma. And then the second thing is that 50,000 young people, in fact 50,000 plus young people applied for jobs this summer. And as much as I'm grateful that we were able to blow past our 29,000 minimum, but there are still 20,000 young people that wanted an opportunity, but we weren't able to provide it for them because we didn't have the budget to be able to do that. people, and I know there are other folks in this room who are older who can attest to this. If you are over the age of 40 and you remember your first summer job and you got that first check, who got that first check? Your mom, right? Everybody, you know, I got a witness in here. And so for many of our young people who are in similar conditions in which I experienced, that youth employment summer check is utilized to help support the family, not just for some extra cash in the pocket. And so it's mental and behavioral health care services, helping our young people find their purpose. And then I think the third thing is this. We make too many decisions in this city without enough youth participation and youth feedback. So we put together a roundtable just for young people to be able to offer up their conviction around what our budget should entail. I don't ever want to see or hear a young person say that they didn't know or they didn't get an opportunity to be a part of the process. Why is that important? Why is that important? I won my election by 26,500 something votes. 27,000 new voters voted in April that did not vote in February, and all of them were under the age of 34. I am mayor of Chicago because of the youth vote and voice. And so that's why we have to further engage our presentation around young people's interests, because that's the interest that's building a safer and more affordable city.
All right, Dr. Mark Haywood here with Urban Mill Network. So I heard you talk a lot about jobs for youth. And so one of the things, Mayor, I wanted you to see, because I know a lot of times we talk about statistics and people don't actually get to see it in person. But we have a lot of our youth and our team that are employed through My Shop, My Future, One Stop Chicago. Can you stand up for me, the Urban Mill Network, that's it? So these are youth that have been employed in South Shore, Greater Grand Crossing community, where they plan events, they go out into the community, they do service. And so one of the things I wanted to say is thank you, right, for that particular program, because it is needed. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the Unity Movement with Golden Child, because they're out here with you, they're doing that particular work. And organizations like them that often get overlooked and that people don't see on the ground work that's being done. So my question is that how can local organizations like Urban Mill Network and the Unity Movement partner and continue to partner with the mayor's office to provide more tangible opportunities for young people, especially with the federal cuts that are taking place? Because as nonprofit leaders, it does make us scared, right? How can we continue to support the youth when it comes to jobs, being in the community, and making a difference?
First of all, thank you, Doc, for your leadership. And I know, I'm not sure if folks saw the news today, Rush Hospital voted as one of the top hospitals, best hospitals in the entire country. So just kudos to you for your work and your leadership. That's right, let's give it up. That doesn't happen without, good brothers like Dr. Haywood. So let me just say this. The opportunities that you are creating provided us with an opportunity to fund successful community-based organizations. That partnership, we want to strengthen that, right? Because the work is working, you all. Don't let anyone tell us anything different. The work is actually working. And one of the ways in which I believe that we can strengthen that partnership, many of you all know that I'm facing one of the most consequential budgets that we've had probably in at least in a decade. And there are many people who believe the only pathway to balancing a budget is to cut services, reduce opportunities. There's never a call to action to demand that the ultra-wealthy in this city, in this state, pay their fair share of taxes. It is well past time that corporations, millionaires and billionaires have to put more skin in the game. We have roughly 127,000 millionaires, 25 billionaires in this city, and 1 in 4 young people under the age of 18 are living in poverty. That type of economic disparity is just unconscionable and it shouldn't be tolerated. And so the partnership can be strengthened as we work with Alderman Lamont Robinson and the other members of the City Council to help us pass a budget that finds productivity so so that government can be far more effective in delivering services. But help me pass a budget, you all, that challenges the ultra-rich and these large corporations that get tax loopholes and breaks over and over again. A budget that challenges them to invest in our young people, to invest in mental and behavioral health services, to invest in our parks, to invest in our libraries. We're building a safer, more affordable city, and it takes resources to do that. And so growing opportunities within your organizations, partnering with the city, we can help fund and support organizations like yours. And if we're going to continue this work, you all, we cannot stand idle. We cannot sit on our hands. We cannot just let someone else do something to us. We have the power in this room to change the trajectory of this city if we band together and make sure that working class families, poor families, middle class families have the investments that are needed to build an economy that works for everyone. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mayor Johnson, you just talked about families and how the familial influence has an impact on how young people spend their money. We talked about your check goes to your mother, and we talked about how we have these opportunities to provide employment for young people. My question to you, though, is combining those two things, familial influence and this employment, and what young people decide to do with their time and how they handle this investment. My question to you is, what resources do you intend to provide to parents or guardians that might help the young people in our communities to grab onto this tenable hope that you're promoting?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. It's something that is very humbling as you get older when your former students are now 30 years old. And I have students that I taught that are now parents. And for too many of my students, when I taught in Cabrini Green or on the west side at Westinghouse, did not have enough opportunities then. And many of them are now raising families. And there are a couple of things. You know, first of all, it's something that I believe we should talk about more, is that our youth employment program goes up to the age of 24. So if you are a younger parent in your 20s, there are opportunities that are available. But really what we need to do is we have to give these families access to education and training so that they can be a part of the growing, changing economy. So what do I mean by that? The city of Chicago, we have one of the most diverse economies in the world. 20% of the world's fresh water, you all, is in our front yard. As global population shifts all over the world, the city of Chicago is going to increasingly become a preferred destination for people. And so that means our community colleges providing opportunities for young adults to develop the skills in the green new economy. We're building more affordable homes. Just last year, the Department of Planning and Development initiated $11 billion of new investments. That's 37,000 construction jobs. There are construction jobs that are coming online now that we do not have a secure pipeline to ensure that young adults and families have access to those jobs. One of the things that I'm very proud of is that we put forth a bond. It's the second thing. A $1.25 billion bond investment for housing and economic development. $625 million is set aside to grow small businesses. And so young adults and families that are looking to start businesses, whether it's, child care facility or mental health care services or anything else in between, we have put forth resources for the entrepreneur spirit that we have naturally as a culture, that we can actually have resources to fund those ventures. And so whether it's increasing opportunities within our community colleges to be trained, resources to actually start their own businesses, but also getting schooled, if you will, on the green technology, the blue technology that is coming as we build a more sustainable society. It's incumbent upon me, all of us, to make sure that people have all that they need to participate in this shifting economy. AI is another big one. You all see downtown across from City Hall, where Google is relocating its headquarters. I was just with Google today. We're talking about hundreds of jobs, thousands of jobs that are being created just through AI. and the technology is moving at the speed of light. And so these are the opportunities that are online now, and our people have to participate. I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure that our community colleges, our public school system, as well as community-based organizations to participate in that development so that we can enjoy the fruit of the investments that we're making.
I'm going to mix in a few questions, Mr. Mayor, from the audience. Has the city considered repurposing some of the closed schools into clean energy hubs with workforce training programs? Some questions from the audience. We have about 8 of those that were not redundant, as well as some questions for you all. So please feel free to use either the question you have for the audience or some of your own.
So a question I have from someone in the audience, with all the money being spent on immigrants coming and going, is it possible to give half of that they got to African Americans?
So I just want to level set here. When I was first elected, the number of migrants that were already here sleeping on floors of police districts was one of the most difficult challenges that I had to face early on. And unfortunately, the federal government left us to ourselves. Now, what's interesting about this question around the migrants, how many people know that there are 30,000 Ukrainian refugees that are in the city of Chicago right now? How many people have heard anybody complain about the 30,000 Ukrainian refugees that are in the city of Chicago? And this is not to say that people cannot be upset. I'm just saying that anger was never applied to the 30,000 Ukrainians that the federal government attached hundreds of millions of dollars to so that they could find refuge here in the city of Chicago. But yet when more melanated individuals were being bused here, the federal government didn't do anything, and then everybody had a problem with immigration except for when it comes to those who are being migrated here from Europe. And here's the thing. I just want to level set here. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying people can't be upset, but it is selective. No one asked that question when it was Ukrainians. What's the difference? What is the difference? And so you had, all right, let me just go ahead and just go and be comfortable. You had a white man from the border, the governor of Texas, who sent thousands of brown people all over the country, and no one took their anger out on him. He spent over $200 million to bus people across this country to divide our communities. Why would we allow white supremacy to rear its ugly head to continue to divide our communities? President Joe Biden said the greatest threat to our democracy is white supremacy. To this question around how we invest in people, we have literally spent 20 times the amount on black folks, so much so that I'm under investigation by the Department of Justice because apparently I'm investing too much in black people. They're trying to have it both ways. They want to judge me for investing in black people and then criticize me for investing in indigenous people who are already on this land in the first place. And you want me as a black man to be mad at brown people after what white supremacy is doing? Let's not be tricked or fooled by the individuals that benefit from our division. The Trump administration has literally shifted the largest concentration of wealth into the hands of the ultra-wealthy, and you want me to be mad at poor people? And just for the record, not one migrant got a check from the city of Chicago. In fact, most of the individuals that supported the migrant mission were black-owned businesses. The workers, the vast majority of them were right from this city in this area. And so let's just let the record be very clear. $1.25 billion of new investments for the west and south sides of the city of Chicago. Another $800 million to go towards infrastructure. We have put more money within the last 2 years on the west and south sides of the city of Chicago than we've seen in an entire generation. We just put forth another $40 million to help support organizations that are responding to homeless people. And so listen, let's not allow the narrative to be a us versus them. Let's not. And I'm not saying it was easy, you all. And I'm not saying that black folks can't be upset. I was so upset, I took arrests in this city because they closed down black schools, they shut down public housing, they took away jobs, they fired black women. And so what I've done in this first 2 years of office, we are protecting black workers in the city of Chicago through a contract with the Chicago Teachers Union so black women won't be fired. That's black investment. We're protecting black history. We have more black developers that are benefiting from my administration than we've seen in a generation. For the first time in the history of Chicago, a prime contract worker construction company has the deal at the airport, a $50 million investment with NOAA Construction. Black developers right now, 5 of them are part of our Missing Middle program, where we are building owner-occupied housing, where you can live in a house, rent the rest of those units, and build generational wealth. These people are trying to run a scam on us. Our enemy is not Central America, it's not South America, it's not the continent of Africa. Our enemy is white supremacy, and we have to unite in defeating that monster.
Can I say this? Mayor, I feel so culture groups come up. That's all I wanted to say. Go ahead. Deja.
I have a question from the audience. Someone would like you to explain the matter regarding the curfew legislation that recently went to a vote from City Council.
That's a great question. And I think it's so apropos that Congressman Bobby Rush is here tonight. Because here's what I know that he knows. And I should have said this from the very beginning. When Mayor here of Washington and the corporate counsel, James Montgomery, declared our city to be a welcoming city, they did it because they knew that if you put too much power into the hands of local policing, it has never been good for our people. In fact, James Montgomery was also the counsel for the Black Panther Party. And I'm lifting that up because right now our budget is being stressed because we are paying out police settlements from a time in which Congressman Rush was fighting back against the system. We just settled a police settlement case worth millions of dollars from a brutality that happened in the 80s. Our corporate budget is under so much duress because there's an unfortunate past in our city around police brutality. And my main responsibility is to keep people safe in this city. I don't want any harm to come to young people, and I don't want them to cause any harm. But to give unfettered power to police to be able to declare a curfew at any moment's notice, there is no empirical data or evidence that it prevents those type of gatherings. Penalizing them and arresting them, everybody wants to sign up for that. Where we have seen over and over again the addiction on jails and incarceration has not boded well for us. And so I believe we have to do the stuff that works. We have to make sure that we are activating spaces around the city so that our young people can participate in. We have to make sure that we are holding people accountable, certainly if they act outside of the bounds of the law, but it's about accountability and opportunity. One of the things that I know about Gen X, and God bless the generation that raised people like me and Yusuf, but that generation had high expectations and low tolerance.
That we don't see. I'm appreciative of it. But I wanted to also ask, what measures are being implemented or are currently in place to keep our youth engaged civilly and involved?
That's an excellent question. And something that we do have that I'm very proud of, we have a youth advisory council, which we've expanded that youth advisory council. I believe it's now up to 40 members. Those slots are paid for, and these are the young people from all over the city. It's truly a rainbow coalition. It's black, brown, white, Asian, from every corner of the city, southeast, northwest, west side, south side. And these are young people who literally put together position papers with solutions of how we can address the critical issues that young people are facing. I would make sure that you all are connected with our Youth Advisory Commission because it's their desire to report back to young people around the city the work that's being done. And there's some really neat things that are being proposed. In fact, that there are a number of parks that have been they have not received the TLC that they deserve, and looking for more resources to activate parks around the city so that young people have safe spaces to be able to generate ideas. Working with the business community as well to create more pathways for internships, even paid internships. Like I said, today I was with Google, and I know that they are a strong corporate partner in the city, and the Youth Advisory Commission has been very instrumental in making key connections so that those opportunities can be system-wide. So I definitely want to make sure that you all are connected with our Youth Advisory Council so you all know exactly what they're working on and that you can always remain connected to my administration.
Dr. Marlin, and after this we have one more question, but here's what I have learned.
Much of the successful violence prevention efforts that you have fostered have been targeted towards 18 to 24-year-olds. What are your thoughts of directing more of the resources and efforts towards youth that are less than 18, in fact as young as 10 to 17 years old?
That's an excellent question, and whoever asked that, thank you for raising that. I mentioned this earlier in my comments. It's 10 to 19 is really where we're seeing a tremendous amount of harm, and particularly 10 to 19 young black boys, right? 10 to 24 is the full group where it's about 74% of that age group encompasses about 74% of victims of violence in this city. And so something that I'm really focused in on is getting connected to our young people within our school district. And so there's a model that you might have mixed feelings about that, right? You want the child to be able to show some emotion, but you don't want them to be taken advantage of. And so I said, listen, are you about to cry even? He was like, yeah. I said, well, go ahead and get it out. And when he got it out, again, as a father, I thought for a second, we tell our young boys not to cry, and then when they get 13 or 14, we ask them how come they're not talking, right? And so that's why it's so critical that we really start honing in on these young people, boys and girls. But it really is going to require all of our systems to work together to do that.
Thank you. Let's give the mayor a round of applause. There's a party where young leaders helping unify the city. And what support can we expect to make that happen? Lastly, what gives you hope when you look at the upcoming generation in Chicago?
The way I believe that young voices, young people can help us realize what I believe our ancestors dreamed of is know your own power as a person, but know your collective power as a group. The best way young people can help us fulfill a stronger, safer, more affordable big city, use your collective power to organize and spend time with our faith leaders, with our business leaders, and lobbying and pushing elected officials. Let me tell you why that's important. Several years ago, I was on this very stage as an organizer with Reverend Jesse Jackson. And Reverend Jackson said something to me that I'll never forget, and I'm going to share this with you all and close out with what I see as hope. Reverend Jackson said to me, he said, many people spend a lot of time thinking about the Jackie Robinsons of the world, which there's value in being the first. He said, but there's tremendous value in the Willie Mays of the world. He said, Brandon, you're Willie Mays. You get to come after those who have opened up the pathway and had to take a whole bunch of stuff and had to grin and bear it. He said that you don't have to do the things that the generation that raised you did. You can live a little bit more openly. You can live a little bit more freely. You don't have to subscribe to all of the traditions. You can break the traditions. You can break the norms. Other people broke the color barrier so that you can live your fullness. What gives me hope right now is this generation understands that they are the Willie Mays generation. You're not afraid. You're asking the right questions. You're demanding more than even what my generation demanded. Take that collective power off of TikTok and take it into the halls of power. Take that collective power off of social media and take it to the streets of this city. Take that collective power off of social media and ensure that the ultra-rich, these corporations that are experiencing the benefit of your tax dollars, the Trump tax that we're seeing at the federal level, they exist in...
Look! This is the eye of the trenches!